If there is one thing in life that my layoff taught me, it is that sometimes you just gotta accept that some things in life that happen to you are going to be way out of your control. You are also not alone in your experiences, and remember that everything is just for the plot. Hi, I'm Genevieve, and I do videos about life and mindset. Now that we're approaching the new year, I wanted to do a year-over-year reflection since I got laid off. If there's one thing that this layoff has taught me is that I was not alone. Even sharing it publicly, I realized that there are so many more people out there, especially in this day and age, at a young age, getting laid off from their jobs, probably because of the pandemic and, lots of tech layoffs, companies overhiring during the pandemic, and lots of things like this. So I was like, you know what, this is like a very shared experience. So I want to talk about it because I'm sure this is going to help someone out there, no matter where you are. Hopefully this doesn't happen to you, but if it does, it is for the plot. And you know what, I feel like I've already strengthened my character development, and I feel like it was meant to happen to my life. And anyways, I'll get into basically my lessons from this whole thing. So today what I'm going to talk about is 1, a recap of my layoff, 2, the initial emotions I felt, 3, my emotions since and what I've been up to, and 4, the biggest things this has taught me. If you're watching this and you have gotten laid off recently or, in the past, or maybe you're just stumbling across this because you're scared or you're here for no reason, I don't know. Whatever you are here for, I just hope you take what you need and remember that your layoff does not define you, or getting laid off does not define the ability that you have to be a top performer. So let that be your reminder, because you are in control of your life, and don't let some corporate job tell you or make you feel otherwise. Okay, so I guess I'll start off with recapping my layoff. It's been around a year now. It was a very unexpected call. I had quit my job. My previous job before this was at a very stable telecom company, and then I moved to a smaller startup in influencer marketing because I was really interested in exploring the space a little bit more, understanding the brand side of the business since I'm on the creator side of it. So it was really a personal choice that I made. It's so funny because my mom literally told me when I accepted the job, she's like, "Oh, are you sure you're not going to get laid off?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll be fine." I was very hopeful, really believed in the company. And then January comes around this year. I get a call from my director, very scripted, super scripted call, not personal at all, which is apparently how most companies probably do layoffs. Basically saying that I was let go because of company restructuring. I didn't know how to act. I was immediately locked out of everything. I had to give my laptop back the same day. It just all happened so fast. I was actually going to go to Vancouver too to be working remotely, and I was leaving in a few days. So this was so I'm going on this trip and I don't actually have a job anymore. Thankfully, I did get a severance package, which wasn't too bad. It was enough for 3 months. So depending on the company you are, I was only there for under a year. So for me, I was okay, this is good. Initially, my mindset was, you know what, I hate corporate. Why do I have to feel my life is dependent on someone dictating whether or not I'm going to have that paycheck to pay my bills? I had a lot of resentment, and I guess it was coming from a part of me inside that felt really rejected and, not valued as a person. I was I don't want to have to keep fighting to show my value at a company, even though I know my worth. And so for me, even though it wasn't performance related at all, this reflected on my own, I guess, it kind of brought out more of my limiting beliefs in myself and my own abilities, because I was why did this happen to me? And this is happening, why is life against me? And then from that point on, I was I do not want to work for someone. The fact that I have to continuously prove myself and try to fight for my income or my paycheck, and that it could be taken away from me at any second, just made me filled with so much anger. And I know this is a whole pile of emotions, because I was, first of all, crying. I was a mess. I was angry, and I was also scared. I was so scared. I was so scared of the future. I was so scared that literally 2024 just started. I had all these things that I wanted to do, but I was I have my savings, and thankfully I've been working since I graduated, so I've had a decent amount of savings saved up, plus from the severance. But I was also what am I going to do after that? Do I have to go apply for new jobs again? I don't even know what I want to do. Anyways, so from this point, I was just feeling a lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear in the unknown, a lot of fear in the future. So it was really my family and closest friends that I leaned on, thankfully, for support, and also just turning inwards a little bit and figuring out, what is it that I want to do. I did decide to travel for a month and a half-ish while I was on that severance pay. I actually just booked a flight to Asia, went with my sister and my mom because they were already going, so it ended up being super perfect after I went to Vancouver. And traveling for me is a really great way, like if you are able to travel, like that is something where I find I'm able to reconnect with the things that matter to me, find a sense of happiness again in the beauty of the world and new experiences, and kind of get my mind off things, not in a way where I'm sitting in Toronto in the winter depressed in my apartment. That was basically the whole recap of what happened there. Next, I guess my emotions since and what I've been up to. I actually ended up getting my real estate license, which was already in progress, so I've been starting that work. And then I was initially applying for jobs, but I had committed myself to actually doing content creation, trying to do it full-time at least, while I was getting some EI from the government. I can go into more details on that in another video if you guys are interested, but I'm not going to talk too much about the financial situations. Anyways, point of the story is, yes, I was fine on my savings, and Instagram was definitely bringing me some income along with my EI from the government, that for the most part of the year I was actually going through so many highs and lows. I think when you're first adjusting to I'm not going to go back to a 9-to-5, there is this mindset that's am I going to be able to make enough on my own? The income is not going to be stable. It's going to be up and down. You're going to experience so many highs, so many lows. There's going to be times where you get bigger paychecks coming in and you're like, wow, I could spend on my money. But then you're like, no, I actually can't do that because I need to save it. So just a lot of adjustment coming from someone who was used to having a stable paycheck and a 9-to-5 job. And along with that came, stress of managing my own timeline, feeling like I have to be productive all the time, and knowing when I can rest versus when I can't rest, because I know that my future is dependent on how much work I put into it. But overall, I guess my lesson from the layoff was that it really pushed me in a direction that I deep down knew I wanted in the long run. For me, I find so much more purpose in being able to try new things, learn, explore different paths, pursue things that I personally love and that I control. Not to say a 9-to-5 is bad. I think a 9-to-5 is really perfect for some people. And if they're happy with their 9-to-5, they can pursue other stuff on the side. But I think for me, the things that I've realized I want to achieve really requires a lot of full-time dedication to doing so, as well as investment of time. And understanding that it's not going to happen overnight. I'm going to have to invest who knows how long. My time, my money, my energy. I'm going to have to sacrifice and make hard decisions in the beginning to get to that stage that I want to be. But at the same time, I'm just enjoying the journey while I'm at it. It's really easy to feel like you need to be successful right away, but I've realized that's really not the case, and that I want to appreciate the hard times. I want to appreciate the challenges that come along with, trying to be an entrepreneur, not following that traditional path that I had in mind in the past. Well, the biggest things this has taught me is that, one, I am emotionally stable and still have a lot of work to do. I'm moody, and that's okay. I cry multiple times a month sometimes. I cry multiple times a day sometimes. I get angry, but also at sometimes I'm really happy. I'm filled with joy for life sometimes. And I'm learning to experience and go with the flow with all the emotions that I'm feeling, and not be too hard on myself. Accepting myself for feeling the emotions I'm feeling in the moment and allowing it to pass. Second thing is that life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. I think anytime that something external out of our control happens to us, we always feel a little bit like we're being attacked or targeted. Why does this have to be happening to me specifically? But I think another way to reframe that is, why is this happening for me? Is this pushing me to do something out of my comfort zone that I wouldn't have otherwise done? Because for me, that's in my situation, that's kind of what it did for me. But I think in other people's scenario, it could be pushing you towards, leaning in towards your fitness journey, or becoming a nutritionist, or so many other paths. You don't have to have one purpose. You can do multiple things. I think that is the third thing, is that there's so much pressure to find that one thing after you get laid off. Like, oh, what is that one thing I need to do next? Or I need to find that one thing and focus in on it. But I think the journey includes trying multiple things. This might include trying multiple things, failing at some of them, but succeeding at some, figuring out which ones you want to pursue. Because ultimately, the more things you try, the more things you learn about what you don't like versus what you do like, versus like what things you need to work on, as well as what your strengths are. You can do it all. You don't have to pick that one thing. You can quit that one thing and change paths later on. You are not making a firm deal for your life. You are doing a disservice to yourself if you think that you need to do one thing in your life and stick to it for the rest of your life. We only live one life, so take all the chances you get and put it in towards just exploring and figuring out what it is that fuels you to love your life. But the next thing this taught me is that I can do hard things. Like I said, this was for the plot. And when I say it's for the plot, I'm just saying like I was actually at a high. By the way, at the beginning of the year when I had this job, I was doing social media on the side. I was like, wow, like this is like the perfect life. Like I get to work a job I really like. I get to do a part-time job I really like and have a lot of fun. But I was like, what is next? What is next? So I realized that I can do hard things, and sometimes things happen like this because these like uncomfortable emotions actually spur me to be more inspired sometimes, like creating this YouTube channel, talking about things that I love to talk about because I love to talk. Yeah. And then the last thing is that you don't need to rush into your goals. You can be patient, you can invest the time and take the rest that you need. Plant these seeds and allow them to grow for long-term results. If you're watching this, just know that you are capable, and I believe in you to find your journey, to find your true path, and find your calling in life. And remember that this doesn't have to be one thing, and you can change your mind. So I hope this was helpful. Now that it's been a year since my layoff, like I'm definitely still struggling with the freelance path and getting used to the high and lows, building my real estate business as well as my social media, and hopefully YouTube is going to be on my list for 2024. So if this video was helpful or you want to stay connected, I would love if you could follow and subscribe to my channel, like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a good rest of the week and send you guys good vibes.